So, let's go ahead and focus. Okay, so here we are. My Michael Jackson and Prince music collection. And let's just kind of go do some comparisons from a fan point of view to a collector's point of view and determine from which one sounded similar to which album was better at a certain time. And for you, the fans, who do you think is the better artist? Because they're almost two of the same people. Granted, Prince could dance, sing, play the instruments on stage, and played his own instruments and stuff when he recorded. Michael Jackson, he could dance and sing. And there's been times where he known to play an instrument or two behind the scenes. They're both composers of their music. There's that. Please understand, this right here is just for fun. Not meant to be taken seriously. I'm a fan of both. And I know people are going to have their opinions. So, this right here is a fan-made CD. I did with songs that I like from them that are not considered one of their greatest hits. But I like it. So we're going to go ahead and kind of get into this because this image I chose from the Bad Era and Signs of the Times era, which were both in 87 to 88. And around that time, they were talking about doing a project together. Because if you take some of the songs from Bad and Signs of the Times, you get a good little mixtape with those two. So I really enjoyed that homemade one. So as we know about, I guess, some of the main real last studio albums that came out after their deaths were Escape and Purple Rain Remastered, what was a 5-disc set, compared to what they put out with Michael, which was, what's the name of that damn Halloween CD they put out for last October? I have it on vinyl for certain reasons, but what's the name of that CD? Scream. It was Scream. It was considered more like a playlist. However, we can kind of compare these two, since they were real last studio albums. Escape was songs that Michael recorded a long time ago, because as you can see, we have the remixed songs in the beginning compared to the songs that come after what you see here, which is the original versions of them as well, and along with this one, which is quite a lot actually. With unheard music as well that comes into this, from unheard music that was recorded for Purple Rain. If I were to pick, I'm gonna have to go with Escape. One, it's shorter. Two, there's not that much there to digest. However, I do not really care much for that they put the remix songs on the same disc with the original songs. That's something I really don't agree with. They should have done with this what they done with this, which was, separate disc, but not as so much. I do appreciate that there's a lot that comes into this one. Yes, don't get me wrong, but it would have helped some in the solutions what this one did, which was a 2-disc set. And I would have been comfortable also at a 3-disc set, But if I were to pick, it would have been this one. But keep it at a 2-disc set, which would have been the remix songs, which we got at the top, the full mix, full remix songs. And then have a second disc with just the original versions on them. And just take out the DVD. So yeah, I would have went with Escape. This one, I love Purple Rain. Yes, I do appreciate the 5 or 6 disc set, which is what we got with the album, what we got from the vault, the single mixes, the songs that didn't make it onto the album, and the Purple Rain tour DVD. The earlier years, the earlier tour of it, which I do believe I actually have, if I remember correctly. So yeah, there's that one. Also followed up. Now, these ones will be hard to really compare, so we can't compare these two at all. So we'll have to keep going. Now we kind of get down to This Is It and Hit and Run. Press 1 to press 2. Yet again, we just cannot compare these because there's nothing there to compare. This Is It was 09. Hit and Run, press 1, press 2 was not at all. This was 016, 015. This was 013, so we can't compare. And this was 2008, I do believe. So we really can't compare a lot of these ones, but we can compare most of them. This was 2003. This was 2000 or 2001. Greatest hits, right? Greatest hits. Now this was not the last greatest hits album, if you considered Prince Forever a greatest hits, but that one has different songs on it of his compared to this one. This one right here is a 1-disc set, which would have been the main hits. So that means we can actually go back and kind of compare it to This Is It, because This Is It is the main hits for Michael. Even though this is a 2-disc set. And if I were to choose, and if I were to pick, really as a fan, without going too much into it, which was the better greatest hits single CD, and what came with what came with the impact of after or during one's death, or even advertising a tour. Let's be real. Again, I'm gonna have to go with This Was It. This Was It was impactful for what happened during that. I'm gonna have to go with This Was It. This Was It had a good impact. The greatest hits one for Prince, was a start of his celebration when he got off Warner Brothers to release Rainbow Children. But it still had a good impactful hit, because he really was not a big fan of greatest hits like that. So there's that. This came out in 1999, so we can't do any comparisons with that. This is around 98. Can't do any comparisons with that. Now, we can do some comparisons with the History album, because History was around 95, 96, 97, especially with History Volume 2 was around 96. The same with Emancipation, which was around 95, going into 96, along with that tour. Now, which one had a lot of music that came along with that? They're both, first and foremost, came with a lot of music. Because if you go back to 95 with History Volume 1, which has the greatest hits disc, and then disc 2, which was the History album, which Volume 2, which was and did come with the disc 2 being the main album, along with Blood on the Dance Floor, History in the Mix, had a lot of music to listen to, a lot to digest. Just like Emancipation had a lot of music, because several things were dropped as single mixes, CDs, which was I Hate You and The Beautiful Experience. Going into it already, I can tell you this, I'm going to have to go with Emancipation. Emancipation was more and enough for me to take in to digest around 95 to 96. Because it was a good amount. Like I said, beyond with that, it broke into 2 hit singles, CDs, which was I Hate You and The Beautiful Experience. Compared to the History era was too much. If you ask me, History would have had it if Michael just would have released disc 2 as volume 1 by itself, without the whole history of book 1 being involved. And Blood on the Dance Floor could have been an album more on its own, rather than being... It is an album on its own, yes. If you really separate it from the History era, it really is an album on its own, because it's a remix album of the History album that didn't do so good in sales. And this is the world's biggest selling remix album. But it does earn its spot. But, like I said, if you separate from the History era, it would have been the better choice around that time. Because nothing really dropped around, 97 to 98 for Prince. Okay, so continuing on. We can't make any comparisons with the Golden Standard, because Michael didn't have anything out around 94 or 93. Same with this, and along with the Love Symbol album. So we can't make any comparisons with that. Just as we can't make any comparisons when it comes to the Graffiti Bridge era, which was 91. But actually, we can make comparisons. I take that back. No, yes. I can't really... No. Okay, I got these ones backward. This came out 1990. This came out in 91. Alright. So, we can make some comparisons with Diamonds and Pearls that came out in 91, along with Dangerous that came out in 91 as well. Now, granted, Michael Jackson was a commercial artist. He was a commercial artist. This was Prince's last commercial album with Warner Brothers. Now, I listened to Diamonds and Pearls. I like it. Yes, it did come in at number 1. But I just couldn't go with it. I couldn't really pick it as it being a better album around that year. I couldn't. So I gotta go with Dangerous, because Dangerous, for me, is a better album from that year. I love Dangerous. and it is one of my favorite Michael albums. Yes, granted, we never got a Dangerous 25 because this was fan made by me, but this is the real linked image. But I can say Prince is a state, even though they're the same people as Michael's estate, believe it or not. They're releasing more stuff along with Prince because there's more music there compared to Michael. Even though I believe Michael may have some more music out there. So I'm going to have to go with Dangerous being the better album out in 91. So we still can't make comparisons with this. Definitely not with that one or this one. But we can make comparisons with these two. Who had the better album in 87? Was it Bad or Signs of the Times? Because they both had movies that came out along with this, which was Signs of the Times concert movie, and then you had Moonwalker. And they were both up there, like their top 5 in the charts in 87. The theaters were packed along with both of the movies. They both have great history behind them. Danger or Bad is my favorite era. My favorite tour by Michael. Signs of the Times. It's a great era as well. To me, this is both of them last best era they ever had. History, as you guys know, they were supposed to do the project together. And also supposed to have a song out too together. Which was Bad. And the labels made it out to be over the years like they didn't like each other. Truth is, they did, because there's people that came out and said, yeah, Michael and Prince talked in private. It's hard for me to pick. But if I were to pick, honestly, God, if I was really to pick who had the best album that year, and this is hard for me to choose, but I'm going to have to go with Signs of the Times. I don't want to, because I love Bad. But like I said, it's a hard choice because I really don't want to pick either, because it was such a great era for them, a great time. Both of the albums were up there. It really was. Movies along with that, videos, they were topping the charts with their songs. Imagine if these two projects were combined. And going back earlier, that's why I made that one little fan-made album. Because that's my prediction on how it would have been with these two. Like, that would have been a very great, real project. But if I were to pick, I would have to go Signs of the Times. I love it. You know, not really much more I can say, so it'll be Signs of the Times compared to Bad. And don't get me wrong, Bad has its special releases. Don't get me wrong, you know. So there's that. From what I know of, nothing was really put out around 85 for Michael, or 84. Which then, we're getting down to the nitty gritty with this part. This was fan-made Thriller, because on this one you have the songs that didn't make it onto the Thriller album cut that are really good. So you have 83 right here. Thriller versus Purple Rain. Oh boy. Purple Rain, when it got a recount, it did end up becoming the world's other best selling album of all time, along with Thriller. I like Thriller. I like Purple Rain. But this is not going to be a hard choice for me, because if you ask me, Purple Rain's a better album than Thriller. Yes, I'm going with Purple Rain. It's a better album for me than Thriller. Off the Wall. There's been arguments that Off the Wall, Bad and Dangerous have been better albums than Thriller. Do I think Off the Wall's better than Thriller? No. Off the Wall's a more dancey album, but Thriller's are better than Off the Wall. Bad is better than Bad is better album than Thriller. Better album than Off the Wall. Dangerous, to me, I think it's better than Bad, Thriller, and Off the Wall. But when it comes to these two main albums right here that get people talking, which one is the better one? For me, it's no choice. To me, it's no competition. Purple Rain. Gotta go with it compared to Thriller. Several of them. Now, these ones right here, we can't really make comparisons for. When it came to, because these were still the 80s. These were still the 80s at the time. This was early 80s. But now, we can make comparisons when it comes to these two. Kind of their first solo adult albums going in to the late 70s. Which one was the better soul, R&B, disco album? It's going to be Off the Wall. For me, I'm going with Off the Wall because really, For You, I just wasn't feeling. It had like 2 good songs on there for me, but do I think it's the best? Do I think it's the better album out of that one? Of course not. No, I really don't. It was more slow, and it was more R&B-ish, if you will. And I just couldn't really, honestly to God, I just couldn't mess with it like that. So yeah, the winner for this one, for the last one, when it comes to it, it's going to be Off the Wall. So, in the end, who had the better album runs throughout the years? Last man standing. It's going to be Michael. It really is. He may not have that much albums out, but it's going to be Michael. Even though Prince is going to have more music coming out after his death. So, Michael had the better album run, but Prince is going to have the lasting album run. And that's my comparison video.